You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now. Aloha, my friends.
Alrighty.
Good morning. Happy hectic morning as usual.
Like, there's no reason why it needs to be. So
I mean, you know,
it's like every day is the first day.
Well, because we're catching up on other things. So it's like when it comes down, it's like we're doing stuff every day. There's no moment to just sit and be like, let me go fix that problem.
And we just make a little progress on each thing we're doing.
Yeah. So, you know, just bear with us.
Juggling.
Everyone still loves us.
It's like juggling, but we suck.
Because our camera right now, for some reason, it just lags. I don't know what happened. I updated my software. I downloaded the driver. Like, I don't know. It just happened all of a sudden. I don't know what. I got to get a new computer, I guess, basically. But our sound is good, which is the most important part.
Yeah, it's super laggy.
Yeah, the camera.
For those listening on Twitter Spaces,
I'm just going to turn off our camera so people don't get.
We do this show every week, and then we stream it on Twitter Spaces, but you could also watch it on YouTube. You can join the StreamYard link on YouTube if you want to join the chat there. We're going to do a price report. We're going to have a special guest. We have HoudiniSwap coming on. We're going to do the news, and then we'll jump into the spaces and we could interact with everybody that's in the space. People are still hanging around.
All right, that sounds good.
Let's give it a go. Any housekeeping?
I guess if you want to give an update on the Monerotopia conference.
You want to bring it up real quick?
Bring it up right now so people don't have to stare.
I think everybody listening.
At lag. Sorry, I'm just laughing at
I think everybody listening knows about Monerotopia. May 6th and 7th, Mexico City. It's what, like $80 for a ticket right now?
Yep, 89.
89, $90.
Early bird, and the VIP, which includes like a VIP dinner with all the speakers and us. It's 189.
More people are buying the VIP than
they are. So
it is cool. I mean, we're renting out a room in a restaurant. We have 2 restaurants that we liked when we went down there that had like a really nice setup. Monero Boating was helping us out with that. We might be running down to Mexico City soon just to make sure everything is on track. Right? Because it's a little weird. You know, it's not our backyard.
Yeah.
But it was like that in Miami too. But at least we went down there once. We met everybody. But it feels a little uneasy, like that we're just going to show up and everything's going to be fall into place.
Yeah, I mean, I think so.
So we might make another trip down to Mexico City very soon just to make sure everything's running smoothly. There's really not much that needs to be done. We just need to make sure that the marketplace show. That's another thing. So we're going to have a live Monero market. So local vendors, local Mexican vendors from Mexico City are going to be present. They're coming as a group if we can round them all up, right? That's the thing. We're like trying to make a deal with the Mexican marketplace, make sure there's some communication issues.
Communication, yeah.
So it's like we got to go down in person and we got to figure it out because we're going to onboard. I don't know how many there's going to be, how many vendors still.
Yeah, we got to figure out how many.
Like at least 30.
There's
I don't know more.
Them. Yeah.
But they'll be, selling things like, tequila and handmade Mexican crafts, and we're going to onboard all of them to Monero. Give them a cake wallet or Monero.com, whatever it may be, Monero. Get them onboarded, maybe give them a few dollars worth of Monero just to show them, and then the rest is up to you guys. Come down, hang out. Obviously, we'll have the conference going on, but then we could hopefully get the marketplace going in real time. And what's cool too is we want the public to have access to this during the conference. So obviously, those that buy tickets will have access to the dome where the talks will be going on, but this space is like an open space, and it's kind of integrated into the city. Normally on the weekends they have these marketplaces there, and people just come in and without, they don't pay for a ticket or anything. It's just they walk in. So we want to keep that element so people from the city will know about it, and they'll come walking in. They could check out the marketplace. And then we'll just also have a section at the conference where we'll be trying to onboard these people as well that want to come, complete noobs that want to come and learn about Monero. Maybe they don't even know about crypto yet. So that's another aspect to the conference. So I'd say everything's moving ahead. The speaker lineup is insane. Did we add any new?
Yeah, we have Elizabeth.
Oh yeah,
Elizabeth Binks.
Awesome. She's working on ETH to XMR atomic swaps. She's making some big progress on that, but she'll be down there. It's not just Monero, guys. I mean, we spoke about this. We want this to be, a pro-privacy tech conference in general, right? So obviously Monero is the focus. I think pretty much the entire first day will be Monero, all the devs talking about Monero, all Monero related things. But then we also want a portion of the conference where we're going to allow other privacy projects to present whatever, some tech that they're working on. Who do we have? We have Xano.
We have Xano. We have Firo.
We have Firo.
Ruben, yeah.
We're trying to get people from the ETH privacy community via Elizabeth, so maybe they'll be down there as well. We're talking to Particle; they're very interested because they recently developed the decentralized marketplace that's Monero based. Who else are we talking to? Haven, right? They were with us last year, and then there's other. There's others. We don't want to go too crazy with it. We have some. We don't want to get any regular shitcoin in there. There's a reason for the projects that we're allowing, right? Either they're crypto note based, or they've contributed to Monero and somehow, or they're just big enough projects that deserve attention. Like obviously Ethereum, one of the most used cryptos out there, right? So why shouldn't we hear about what they're doing in terms of privacy? And so that's going to be a big part of it as well. And yeah, I guess that's it. Grab your tickets.
Grab your tickets today.
Keeps growing. Reach out to us if you want to participate in some way. You want to be a vendor. You want to be a sponsor. You want to be a speaker.
Whatever your heart desires.
You want to come to the conference, but you can't figure out how to do it. We'll help you.
You want to help us out, because obviously
you want to help us out. We definitely need help.
Obviously, as you can tell, please.
We're also juggling. We're trying to keep gratuitous moving. I don't know. We don't talk about it a lot on this show, but we're that's a big passion of ours. It's a slow moving thing, only because we don't have a lot of time to devote to it. We've added new coffees. We added a coffee from Colombia now. Which we added the bio farm, where you could buy a gift card on gratuitous with Monero. Obviously, everything on gratuitous is sold for Monero. You can purchase things anonymously, but for giving up your shipping address, right? If you want something shipped to your house. But yeah, we're trying to pivot it into just a larger market. It's not just coffee, right? And this has actually been the vision from day one. We started with coffee, but now we're trying to transition beyond the MVP. So the idea, it becomes a place where you can buy all your daily needs, direct from source too, right? So you drink coffee every day, you can buy coffee on gratuitous, and it's really good coffee, direct from source. Where we've now added this bio farm, which is basically organic Amish farm in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. You could buy. We haven't gotten it completely integrated yet because we're working with them. We have to try to get them used to Monero and whatnot. So we got to the point where basically you could go on our website, you could buy a gift card to them with Monero, and then you could go on there and, they don't really ask for much information either. They're very, if you go to the website, you'll see they very much align with the ethos of Monero and what we're trying to do. They're trying to build their own little, parallel economy. And then on there, you could buy things like farm fresh eggs, raw dairy. Maybe not for you, for your cat or your dog, right? Raw dairy is illegal in the United States, or maybe happen to drink some yourself. And yeah, so we're moving towards this broader vision of what gratuitous is. So check that out. We have those things up there. Please support us there, and it'll help us continue to grow it. Ignore the website's a little funky right now, just because we're in between transitioning the design. So just put up with that. But it's all there. We're just trying to make it look beautiful now,
as gorgeous as possible.
All right, let's move on.
So I guess enough about
shilling. We got to get these things out there, though.
Yeah, we do. So it was a good idea.
Anybody that's listening to the spaces, if you can, like the space and share it, let's get more people in here. I feel like we just don't get the word out, right? There's a lot of people in Monero that are missing out on this content.
Well, yeah, we need help spreading the word. That's better, because there's so much we can do. But yeah,
spread the word, guys.
Spread the word, please.
All right.
Let's move on to the price report, my friends.
The Monerotopia price report segment is sponsored by Local Monero. Avoid using KYC exchanges. Buy and sell Monero directly for fiat, peer-to-peer.
Oh, I can't add a
Bawdy.
Happy New Year's to you guys.
Howdy.
Hey,
how's
man.
it going?
Is the sound okay?
Yeah, sound is good.
I can hear you.
You can hear me.
Hopefully y'all can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
How are you? Happy New Year.
I'm really good. Yeah, having a good New Year so far.
Awesome.
Monero's given us good reasons, extra reasons to have a good New Year.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I know everyone is excited to talk about Monero. We've been pumping, but today I really want to start with the big picture and work our way down. The reason for that is that trading is kind of an emotional endeavor, right? You don't want to let your positive emotions about Monero affect how we might be viewing the macro. So we're going to start with the macro and we'll work our way towards Monero. If you're on the Twitter spaces, highly recommend you get on YouTube and make sure and set your resolution to 720p. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Let's start with this reverse repos. I posted about this on Twitter actually, and excuse me, sorry. I posted about this on Twitter, and what happened was somebody dropped like $350 billion with the Fed overnight for New Year's, just for New Year's. We had this big spike, and we were talking about this spike last week. And if you remember, I said, this looks a little bit kind of like a capitulation wick. It looks kind of like the momentum has already rolled over. And so, for example, if we add the Bollinger Bands to this, and this is the 200, is it the 200 day? Maybe it's the 100 day. You can see with Bollinger Bands, they can be tricky to use. You've got to be really careful. There's a lot more nuance to Bollinger Bands than many other different signals. But at any rate, after you've had a big bull run like we've had for the past year and a half on reverse repos, and for those that are new, reverse repos are just money that people and institutions park with Federal Reserve overnight. They get a small interest rate for doing so. And this, to me, this represents institutional potential, right? It represents dry powder of institutions. And so it was one of the ways we saw we were going into a bear market. Even though price was going up, the money parked overnight with the Fed was also going up. When it comes to Bollinger Bands, when you get a rollover like this, it's usually a kind of a momentum rollover. You see the upper standard deviation come down. You see it roll over. So when this happens, you start to suspect that potentially you're out of steam, especially on longer time frames. When you're on the daily and the weekly chart, when this happens, you say to yourself, this is probably getting close to exhausted. So when you see a big spike up like this through the upper standard deviation, you want to suspect that might not be real. That could just be an exhaustion wick. So the very next day, or the very next trading day, it came right back down. So to me, this looks very much like a confirmation that we could be seeing the end of the bear market, or at least we could be seeing a temporary reversal to the upside, something longer than has happened. All the other sort of dead cat bounces and bull traps that we had all the way down from the top. This one might be more long-lived. And that was the tentative thesis that I was bringing out last week, that we're seeing just the early signs of this, but we want to see it continue to mature. Personally, I spent a decent amount of time this week reaccumulating positions. I fully reaccumulated any of the Monero that I might have sold, trying to avoid this last dip. Everything's looking really good. Let's go ahead and look at the Dixie now. The Dixie, I want to show you guys a couple new things actually. So we've got our z-scores here on the bottom, and if you notice these little green and red dots, this is an indicator that a friend of mine created, and it's basically an engulfing pattern detector. So the red dots essentially indicate that there was kind of an engulfing pattern on the candle before. Now, one thing that I was expecting for Dixie to do was to make a short reversal. Essentially, this is topping in reversal. It's possible we'll be back up here at some point, and I was kind of expecting that. And we got the beginning of that right here as price started going up. But then yesterday we had a pretty interesting daily candle where essentially we had this engulfing pattern on this daily candle. Things were looking bullish, and then it just reversed on a dime and then closed lower. So that can often represent a liquidity run. It can represent not enough momentum to keep going up. In other words, this gives us the indication that Dixie might be going down soon. Now, the z-scores down here, this is another pattern that I've detected in the time I've been playing with z-scores. So the darker bands up here represent longer time frame lookbacks, and obviously the shorter ones the yellow and green down here are the shorter time frames. When you have a chart where the longer time frame z-scores are trending downwards, it's a momentum indicator, but then your short term spikes up against that momentum and then comes back down, that is very often an indication of a liquidity run or of like a temporary, maybe a stop hunt, something like that. So we're having basically two indicators now. There's an engulfing indicator and we have the z-score indicator that's telling us kind of the same thing. What I thought was going to be the Dixie going higher might actually end up going lower now. And in terms of a bullish thesis for risk assets, this is actually a very good thing. In fact, this was one of the pieces last week that I was saying was a conflicting signal. I didn't like how Dixie looked like it was ready to start going up. And that was conflicting against the idea that maybe we could go on a larger bull run here. So that's a good thing for people holding risk assets. It's a good thing for Monero. It's a good thing for stocks. We could take a quick look at the z-scores for all assets relative to each other. Let's go to the 4 hour. This makes more sense on the 4 hour, or maybe the 1 hour. Okay, so you can see that the markets are closed. Crypto is going solo right now. You can see that the Dixie came down at the last moment on Friday, and everything else basically jumped up here to the top. Silver seems to be lagging behind just a little bit, but it should catch up as well. So right now, again, this is a little bit more cautiously optimistic than we were even just last week. And again, it justifies taking bites, reaccumulating your positions if you have dry powder, just slowly getting back into the market. And with Monero, and we'll talk about this later, Monero, you really want to get in there sooner rather than later. So, okay, this is the oil chart, and I added a couple things from last week. These are the standard deviation bands. The blue ones are one standard deviation, and the purple is a derivative of that. Now, essentially, this chart is a chart that looks like it's going to keep on holding in this lower triangle region here. It looks like it's going to be attracted to this lower standard deviation band, and that's good. That's good because in the market profile that we're in right now, you really want oil to be steady and maybe going down just a little bit. Oil is kind of like a Goldilocks signal. You really need it to be just right. Before we had all the crazy inflation, before we entered the bear market, and typically in times past, really for the past decade, having oil being mildly positive was a good thing for asset prices. You have an entire military industrial complex that's based on oil. You have an entire global currency, reserve currency that's based on oil. But when it gets too high and we get inflation overheating, right, that's when we start to have problems with the market because it forces the Fed to take action. So right now, it's good that we are seeing oil maintain this lower bound here. We really want to stay in this area. We could even potentially drop lower here, and that would be fine. So again, oil continues to give us confirmations that we are, in fact, looking at very likely a potential bottom. There's another big signal that I found with gold. So here's just the regular gold chart. This is the short term. This is the 12-hour candles. So you can see that basically since October, we kind of bottomed, and then gold has gone on kind of a nice run here. We're in a bit of a rising wedge, but this has fairly positive sentiment to it. You can see that we're kind of riding the top of this wedge, and gold could very likely continue being positive. Let's take a look at this on a slightly longer time frame. So I don't want you guys to be confused by all the pleb lines that I've drawn there. And that's another thing we're going to talk about today a little bit, is how do you draw pleb lines? It's kind of an art and a science, and it's easy to get it wrong, and it's easy to misunderstand and think that a breakout has happened when you just need to be careful. We'll talk more about that later. So this pleb line right here represents essentially a pretty good spot to have broken. We've been expecting to break that for quite a while, and this is a good sign. This is especially a good sign in light of what I've seen for the past 2 decades on pullbacks in the stock market relative to the action in gold. So the thesis being here that gold tends to bottom first, and then the stock market tends to reverse after. So you can see that in most of the major crashes and or flat lines that the market has had for the past 2 decades. Well, starting with 2001, you can see that, the blue line is the NASDAQ, and then obviously orange is gold. And so you can see that the NASDAQ was still on its way down, whereas gold had already started an uptrend about half a year before. And then once the stock market reversed, once that happens, the time is actually to get out of gold pretty soon thereafter. And then you got the same thing if we go to the 2008 crash. Gold went down with it, just like gold has gone down with this bear market, but it found its bottom and bounced up first. Again, that was, let's take a look here. That was October, and then 4 months later, the market bottomed and then started going back up. And then they both performed really well for the beginning of this decade. You could see that again where the market kind of flatlined in 2015. That's where the Fed started rolling over their asset purchases. They hadn't gone to a QE infinity yet. It was still like QE3 or something, I don't remember. But anyways, you can see again, gold was going up while the market was flat. We had the taper tantrum. This is where the market flatlined in 2018 because, again, the Fed was trying to stop making these asset purchases, and I think everybody knows they can't stop doing that. So while the stock market was flat, while NASDAQ was flat, gold was already in a bull market. So what we're seeing here is this right here, this point could very well have been the bottom for gold. And it would be unsurprising to see gold continue upwards, and maybe the stock market here is bottoming, maybe it's about to reverse. So again, this is an early sign. This is a tentative sign. It's possible we could still make lower lows on the stock market. And there's some fundamental reasons for that. If you noticed, a lot of the macro indicators had reversed even as the stock market was making new all-time highs last year in November. And one thing that happens with insiders and market makers is things are already reversing. They're already changing their positions even as markets are making divergent action. And this is essentially them wanting to get on the reverse side of the trade while everyone is either over exuberant or, in this case, at the bottom of a bear market, fearful and selling. And I have seen some news stories just anecdotally that would suggest, it looks to me like some of these insiders and even some of these institutions are trying to indicate that, hey, y'all should be scared. You need to sell your assets. It can be really bad this year. My guess is they want entrance liquidity, right? It's exit liquidity on the top side. It's entrance liquidity on the bottom side. So again, overall, what we're seeing here on the macro is a picture that is continuing to develop in a positive direction. It's continuing to give us confidence that we could very well be at the bottom of this bear market or very close to it. So for example, we've got the NASDAQ here. This is the entire bear market. That dotted yellow line has been my target. We might not make that target. I'm becoming less and less confident as the weeks go by that this target will actually be made. You can see right here, that was the pre-COVID high. So NASDAQ just doesn't seem to want to go there. And then the S&P 500, this is positive action. This is the kind of action that, again, it's cautiously optimistic. You can see we've got this kind of broadening structure here all the way through. And we've come off these bottom lines right here. We didn't actually touch that line down there. And then we are now sitting at the top of this range, right? We had a double tap of the line of the resistance. We came back. And now price is trying to get right back to that line. If price makes it up to this line next week, that's very, very bullish. Now, we also have the inflation numbers coming out next week. That's going to be Thursday. That's CPI. good CPI numbers, if things have come down, that will be very bullish for the markets overall. Now, as I talked about, I wanted to show you guys pleb lines just a little bit, ways you can draw them. And you notice that I got 2 drawn here. Now, it does make it a little bit messy on your charts, but let's go ahead and take a look at, let's go ahead and get rid of this line for a moment. And so let's suppose we're back here and we're trying to understand what the market might do. All right, so your first natural line is just to connect these 2 points. So you might do 2 separate things when you're at this moment, right? When you're sitting right here at this spot, you would want to connect both the candle body to this candle body, and you would also want to connect it to the wick low just to give yourself a range. So coming down into this spot right here, again, pretending like we were back in February 2022, and you would expect to touch this line right here. That would be expected. What you wouldn't be sure is if you would get into this zone down here afterwards. But the next candle kind of jumped back up, and you can see that action kind of tells you, okay, we're probably not going to end up down in this spot right there. So that's just one thing you need to be aware of on these pleb lines. And I like to call them pleb lines because, you know, it's like the easiest kind of TA that you can do, right? So you just have to be careful. You need to be ready to get creative with how you draw them. When they break, you need to try and find ways to redraw them. For example, you need to redraw them more shallow, more steep. You need to change the timelines, because as you change these timelines, you're going to notice that there are different places to connect the candle bodies. And a lot of people can draw a lot of different lines in many different ways. And so you don't want to get caught drawing lines one particular way and then have missed something very important, because that does happen. It's happened to me a lot of times. So the other thing that you can do here with this is you can connect these lines kind of like that. So again, we're redrawing these lines in a slightly different way. Let me just reverse all this. There we go. There we go. So you'll notice that when we kind of wick down below that, you can use that to draw the line more shallowly. You can see that was an important area right here. And it's just, again, it's just kind of a way of illustrating why you need to draw these lines slightly differently. The next thing we're going to look at in just a second is the comparison to the 2008 market. But again, I just wanted to show you one more idea here of why you draw these lines multiple different ways. So we'll move that line out of the way for a second. You can see the tops right here. This has been a very good bear market resistance line, but you'll notice we poked through there. And charts like to do this quite a lot. They like to poke through these lines just a little bit, which again is a way, or is a reason why you want to draw these lines slightly differently. So one thing you'll notice here is this was the very absolute top. And even though we had to cut through this area right here, that gives us a line that actually caught the top of right here where we broke through. So it's something you can do. It's totally okay to break through the candle bodies. There's people that say that it's not, but you very often have to get creative like that. And it gives you more things that you can hold in your mind simultaneously. And when it comes to trading, you really need to be able to hold multiple things in your head and not get too locked into one position. Okay, so let's look at something a little bit more interesting than pleb lines. And this is going to be the 2001 and 2008 bear markets as compared to where we are right now. So we've got our current bear market right here, and we've got in blue is the 2000. And the dot-com crash was a very long crash. And we're looking at the NASDAQ, so tech stocks. So you can see we were kind of following along for a little bit, and then we started diverging, right? We went up where instead they went down back in, us back in 2001 during dot-com. And right now we're basically sitting here hovering. We're holding price, whereas previously there was big crashes happening here. And then just recently, as of the past few weeks, really since November, we have now also been diverging from the 2008 collapse. Interestingly enough, because the NASDAQ crashed so hard in 2000, it actually didn't crash as much in 2008. The S&P 500 was I shouldn't say bigger, but they crashed equal amounts in 2008. Usually the NASDAQ falls more. So what's happening here, in my mind, is an intuitive expiration on the potential to go lower, on the sort of fear trade. And when you're trading, one thing you need to keep in mind is that your ideas, your trades, your targets, these all have an expiration date. And you should think about that early on in your process, and especially while you're in the trade. You need to think, when could this trade be expiring? We haven't hit my targets. Like, for example, I have targets that were about 5 to 20% above right now. And to me, my targets are starting to expire at this moment. They were good targets. They were definitely in the ballpark. But sociologically speaking, if these charts continue to stay above here and we don't crash, that's a very good sign that maybe we're just not going to crash further. Particularly the NASDAQ looks a little bit more close, right? It's a closer call on the NASDAQ. This is the daily chart. And again, you can see that we have just now started to make a little bit of divergence here. Whereas in 2008, we were already crashing. In the .com, we were just at the point that it's starting to crash. So we're just starting to diverge. And if we keep doing this kind of action and we go up a little bit, I think that's going to be a signal sociologically to the market that, hey, maybe we're not looking at some crazy big crash. You know, people have been fearful for the last 2 decades of some new crazy systemic risk. And in a fundamental sense, I don't really see it. There are problems and there is inflation, but I don't see the kind of systemic the way in which the over leverage and the derivatives markets were a ticking time bomb for the market in 2008. I don't see a similar situation here. So that's the macro. That's what the macro looks like to me. Things have continued to shift in the positive direction. I think it's basically time to start reaccumulating your positions. Anything that I missed here? Oh, one more thing. It's possible that the S&P 500 will continue to outperform the NASDAQ. It's a very real possibility because people want to get back into the market, but they don't want to take so much risk. They don't want to be in the growth stocks. And a lot of these growth stocks still look terrible, right? Tesla still looks like a terrible chart. And a lot of other charts still look pretty bad. And these are stocks that people heavily speculated on. So people getting back into the market are very likely going to dip their toes at least equally as much into the more solid fundamental plays. So just know that the S&P is probably going to perform at least equally as good as the NASDAQ, but perhaps even better. It has been performing better recently. So after all that, now we can go talk about Monero. Monero has been really nice. Let's just go to the USD chart. Now, this is another chart that I've been showing on Twitter, and it's also another really good example of things to keep in mind when you're drawing pleb lines. So we've got these 2 lines down here. And those are great. Those are sort of secondary resistances that we needed to break. But let me delete those. But for the moment, what we can really look at so this line right here is an easy line to draw. You just connect the tops. And then what you can do is just slide that right down, right? And you see that's how these other 2 lines were drawn. We just slid that right down. And that helps because, you know, we have to cut through this candle body right there, or a whole bunch of them. And we have to find the best way to connect this line. So essentially, this was in my mind, the highest probability likelihood line that we should try and break. So, and that's exactly what we did. We came here, we tested it, we spent some time, we pushed up against it, and then we cleanly broke through. So that's really good. But there's also these secondary resistances. And when you're drawing lines, you need to be careful about the secondary resistances that could pose challenges. So you can see these 2 lines are pretty easy to see why they're drawn that way. But you could try and draw them other ways, and I definitely did. I draw a whole bunch of lines, and it kind of looks messy. And then you delete them all, you redraw them again, you think about it, you have a coffee, you come back. So basically, we broke through both of these lines now. And the good thing is that you can see that the area in here was only for wicks, right? For the past 6 months almost. It's only been for wicks. We've only sent wicks into that area. But now we have 2 candle bodies in there, and then we also have 2 closes above. And today is looking strong. It looks like we're going to close above that line as well. So this is very positive action. We still have these horizontal areas of significance. So places like right here where we're at, or just above where we wicked, we're also going to have these areas, and then ultimately this area as well. And of course, the exchanges that don't like Monero, don't want you buying Monero because they didn't get it for free. They like to play with the charts. In my mind, and maybe I'm just being a conspiracy theorist over here, but in my mind, it looks a lot like they intentionally try to wreck the chart in many cases. Other times, other charts, typically when you see them break these kinds of triangles, they typically just go. So that's the conspiracy theorist in me. Let's take a look at the weekly, and we can see, oops, You can see the weekly is also looking pretty nice. Closing above this will be great. That'll be the first week that we closed above it. We kind of want to close the second week, but the reality is that things are looking good right now, and I very much expect we're going to go pretty quickly to this next resistance line up here. Now, it's very possible that we could go up and back down and then kind of do this for a little bit. I hope not. I think it's possible that maybe we can break it faster than that, but just be aware that that could pose a significant resistance for us. We can look at Monero versus Bitcoin, and this is just such a bullish chart. Everything looks so nice. We're back to those levels that we were a couple years ago. The next spot really for us to try and hit is the 0.011 area. We have broken above 0.009, which it's a round number, so it's significant because people like round numbers. And we're essentially playing at that resistance level in between this spot right here and the top of that wick right there. That's how you got those two lines. So I don't know. I'm not sure how fast we go here. If there's a general bull market, if they're going to try and add some leverage to the market, pump the prices, if people are getting expectant and they're buying, and then the market makers say, hey, people are buying, let's go ahead and pump the price, so people have to buy at higher prices, you could see Bitcoin take a big jump, which could cause our ratio to kind of level off here. That's speculative whether or not that happens. Bitcoin does have negative price externalities, but it is an important coin for the market makers to make sure they take care of. So here is the market cap dominance for Monero. Again, we continue to be bullish. We're above this area. Looks to me like we're going to end up trying to get above this area right here, and I think there will be some resistance. We're gonna spend some time trying to work our way through that area, which is fine. You don't want to chart just to go parabolic too quickly, typically.
Yeah, and if Bitcoin starts pumping like you're saying, I mean, obviously initially you would leave Monero behind, but do you think Monero would follow, or the trend would start to change in terms of the BTC XMR ratio?
Oh yeah, the Monero is going to follow the entire crypto market if it pumps, just simply for the fact that people know about Monero, they're buying it, the exchanges are out, and so the only way that the market can actually go up right here is with organic purchasing. They need real people actually buying the market, because a lot of cash has left the system at this point, and there's only so much leverage. And what's that?
I guess what I'm saying, would it still keep pace with Bitcoin, or would we start to see it? Then we topped out on the BTC XMR ratio. Monero continues to trend up in dollar value, but now it's like Bitcoin just keeps outpacing Monero in terms of growth if we enter a new bull market. Or do you think Monero will continue to gain speed on Bitcoin?
I think at a minimum, Monero will continue to keep pace with Bitcoin. I think it's very possible that it outshines Bitcoin. That's a very reasonable possibility. I don't see us going into like a real true bull market. At best it would be like a mini bull market like 2019. But yes, I think with volatility, Monero should keep pace with Bitcoin at a minimum, with plenty of potential for us to go much higher, for us to continue this trend. I mean, this chart overall is a very bullish chart. I'll need to play with different ways to draw some of these lines at some point. Like, for example, there's probably something to draw like that. Maybe if we go to the weekly. Yeah, so this wick right here, you could easily put this line down like that, and we could easily draw like a rising triangle. A rising wedge. So yeah, we could easily draw a rising wedge right here and get above, and then maybe need to break for a little bit and then play around at this level. And if organic money starts coming into the market, real people, not just Tether, not just unbacked stable coins, not just Barry Silbert, but if real people start coming back into the market makers like to use that. They like to front run it, right? They can see the money flowing into their exchanges. They can see people selling their stable coins and buying crypto again, and then they front run that. When they see that happening, they just slam the price up very quickly, because they don't want the plebs getting in at low prices. They want them having to buy much higher. So this is why you see these crazy parabolic movements in crypto. Is a little bit of organic input causes significant leverage in the market. And if that happens, yes, they're going to put that leverage into everything except for Monero, which would hypothetically cause us problems. But on the ratio. But again, Monero is so strong right now, and people are buying, and they don't have any left on the exchanges, that if that happens, if there's organic buying, even small inputs can cause big movements on Monero's price. It's not exactly short covering, but it would look kind of like short covering, which is what I believe will keep our price relative to Bitcoin pretty solid, with plenty of potential for us to end up going higher. So there will come a point this year where we have to wait, where we're going to have to kind of consolidate from this nice movement. But that's not to exclude us being able to make a big move higher later on in the year. And that could coincide with the pullback in a crypto market. Like if we had a hypothetical bull market or mini bull, and then that came to an end, we could see again where Monero's strength shines during bull markets like it has for the past year. So let's look at the divergences. So again, this is all relative to Kraken. Some of the peeps on Twitter asked me to add OKX, so they are in purple now. A big part of the reason for our reasonably strong price action this week is you can see that these guys are trying to keep their exchange doors open. They're diverging their prices just slightly up, and they're doing volume up there. And that way they can get that arbitration flow into their exchange, which enables them to keep their withdrawals open, because their only other option is to shut withdrawals and to keep them down. And that's really bad PR for Binance. I think we've reached a lot of people, and we've really exposed a lot of things. So it does look to me like they are trying to keep their withdrawals open. And in doing so is a big reason for why we've had reasonable, nice price performance really for the past couple months. So that's really nice to see. Hopefully, it looks like they've diverged downwards in the past 24 hours. Hopefully they don't keep us down there too long. But I don't think they will. I don't think that will happen. So we'll see how that goes. I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic. I have reacquired my full Monero position. Maybe it was a little bit hasty of me, but I don't want to miss out.
Reacquired? Oh Jesus, man! I would never have it in me
to sell or to reacquire.
To sell. I mean, so you. Yeah. My Monero position is always the same, essentially, just slowly trending up through.
We kind of knew that some of this was going to happen. Some of this crash business here. That was. I know. We saw that coming, and I said, "All right, if I can get more Monero, that's less Monero that the exchanges have." So it's not a bad deal.
I just don't have the ability to do that.
No, I understand. I hadn't sold any Monero like for the entire year, and then I was like, but this I could at least make a little bit right here. I was like you. I was like, I can't do it. I just can't do it.
I mean, you obviously know what you're doing. You're good at it. You know how to do the stop losses and all that stuff. You put the time into it. I just wouldn't have the patience or time, to try to mess with it. And then it takes a lot of like emotional energy too, right? It takes more than just the time of doing it. It ends up eating into your life in other ways, right? Because then it becomes a concern. You're concerned about it, as opposed to just having it on the back burner. It's slowly accumulating more, slowly moving more fiat into Monero.
Yep. Especially when you're leverage trading. I mean, you'll want to wake up in the middle of the night to check your position.
Yeah.
It's not a fun game.
Yeah.
I don't like to leverage trade.
Yeah. At the end of the day, are you really doing much better, versus just slowly accumulating?
Yeah, exactly. Very few people do better. Most people just get their money taken by market makers and shady exchanges. So here's some charts you guys will probably. Sorry, go ahead.
Or an asset that we obviously believe in, right? So like to take that risk, and then at the end of the day, to not have as much that you may have had if you just slowly, cost average in through accumulation, it can lead to a devastating outcome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a couple more charts, and I'll finish up my segment here. Okay. This is Monero versus a bunch of different coins. So this is the monthly chart. That's versus Bcash. You can see we've got this nice rising wedge, and then we broke above it. Right. This is very bullish. Very bullish. We've got our chart versus Litecoin. This is kind of an interesting chart. I don't normally see this kind of structure, but very clear structure. We basically are sitting in the top half of the range, and we're pressing up against the top of that range there. Versus Dash, I don't even know why Dash would be relevant anymore, but rising triangle, this will probably break to the upside. No one's using Dash. Stellar, right? Here's Stellar. We're making our way back to those all-time highs from 2017. I mean, and then of course Zcash. This chart always kind of gets under my skin a little bit because you can see what they did. You can see their manipulation, where they took us beneath this very clear channel. There are fundamental reasons why this channel exists and why Monero is doing better than Zcash, but they can fake it for a period of time, right? They did this whole fake out last year in November. That's what that was.
That was
so,
Barry Silbert special right there.
You gotta love his tweets too, right? Where he's like, "I'm buying. Oh, y'all don't like Zcash? I'm buying more." Like, okay, buddy, sure you are. You got it for free. You're trying to sell it. Oh, yeah. We broke out on Ripple.
Liquidate a bunch of Zcash. I mean, you guys should all buy.
Yeah. Yo, I gotta unload my bags, guys. It's the top of the market. I got a Charlie Lee like Litecoin, but for Zcash.
Not to change the subject real quick, but have you been following that with DCG? Are they in trouble? I haven't been following it closely.
There was a story yesterday where they're dissolving their investment firm that's tied to DCG. There was a Cameron Winklevoss publicly, he posted an open letter saying, "Hey, you owe all of our people money. You owe us almost $1 billion. And we're trying to talk with you. We're trying to schedule meetings. We're trying to, in good faith, approach you to see if we can resolve this. And all you're doing is obfuscating, distracting, delaying. And, oh, is it any wonder that you were previously a bankruptcy specialist? Maybe was he a bankruptcy lawyer? I think just a specialist. So it's like he knows the tricks of the trade. So he's using every delay tactic that he can. At the same time, I don't trust Cameron Winklevoss either. You know, it's probably just posturing, you know, just one scumbag talking to another. But I mean, this is the systemic risk that we've been talking about for the last year, the contagion that, okay, so FTX went down and DCG was dependent on FTX, and apparently Gemini is dependent on DCG. It's just dominoes. So we'll see if they can put a floor on the market. And I think what they're doing is they're trying to wait, they're delaying, and they're hoping they can survive long enough until the market goes back up and they can get some breathing room. They might do it. It's very possible they could do it. And, you know, the moon boy in me wants them to do it because, you know, I want us to go on a little bull run right here. I want to make some money. Monero is better positioned than the rest of these shitcoins to do fairly well over the next coming months, even without a bull run from the exchanges. It would help us. It would help us to have an overall bull run, but we're still pretty well positioned. So I guess maybe do you guys want to take a look at total crypto market cap? I don't really have anything to show you guys here other than just the chart. Let's go to the 4-hour. Yeah, I didn't really prepare anything for total crypto market cap or for Bitcoin. But this is a very long bottoming pattern. You can see that big yellow circle here. That was my target for many, many months, pretty much for most of the year. I have it circled there, and maybe we're probably not going to hit it. Hopefully, I mean, if we do this, right, if we come down here, that's very likely some other big liquidation or Barry Silbert or somebody. So
Silbert goes down.
Barry Silbert. There's a guy on Twitter that has a Silbert index. It's all the coins that he's been shilling. He's got like Zcash, and maybe it's
he owns a significant amount of Monero.
I don't know. Okay, so this is what I can't understand with these guys. They know they're out of Monero. They know there's organic support. They know people. So why wouldn't they want to get some exposure? Are they secretly getting exposure? I don't know.
They have to be. I mean,
I would, you know, logic would dictate.
Maybe that's part of the reason why why it seems like Monero is being held down sometimes too, right? It's like they're
accumulating still. It's possible.
Accumulate.
The other thing though is that like these guys most of them are scammers to some degree or another. They might be legal scammers. I'm not a lawyer, but people that engage in this kind of activity, they don't often have those kinds of rational thoughts. They're not like, oh, well, you know, Monero is doing good and blah, blah, blah. They're like, no, how can I save my scam? How can I continue doing this and take more money? I'm not going to get involved with that coin. You know, like if they were thinking rationally, a lot of these people like Sam Bankman wouldn't be committing so many crimes. So
right.
They might not be acting in their own rational best interest.
Right, and he would have been, you know, maybe slightly less successful, or would have taken him a little longer of time to reach that level of success. but without completely
Yeah.
destroying himself along the way.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting what comes out with the court case over the next months and years.
Agreed, man. So anything else, or shall we move on?
No, let's go ahead and move on. That's about all I got for you today.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's insane. I'm just so numb to Monero in terms of its price. I've just taught myself to ignore price to such a high degree that now, I mean, it's been an amazing year versus Bitcoin, right? It's what, doubled essentially in value in terms of XMR BTC ratio.
Yep.
I mean, that's insane. We should be jumping for joy, but I feel like we're just so used to ignoring Monero's price that it's like you
have become comfortably numb.
Yeah, comfortably numb.
That's 146% actually.
Yeah. What's the broader rally? I don't like obviously I like the bull markets, but I feel like it's more stressful than the bear markets in a weird way for me.
I feel like you're missing out on some of these coins.
Yeah. It's like, you feel like, oh man, I wish I had more. As opposed to the bear markets, I get plenty of time to accumulate.
Well, they taught me to have my fundamental stack, to have my principled stack, but so much other crap just went crazy. I said, well, I'm not going to miss out on some of these degen gains, so I'm going to play that game a little bit. And I'm not going to lie, the degen game is kind of what saved my profits this past bull market. So
good for you, man. All right, buddy. We will move on. Thank you so much, Bawdy. Amazing as always.
Great talking with you, brother.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
Thanks, Anita.
The rest of your week.
Maybe we'll see you in the spaces. Happy New Year.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye. All right, let's move on to the guest segment. The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys. Ooh la la.
Doesn't get old.
No, it doesn't get old. Although we're working on new ones. So.
HoudiniSwap.
Hello.
Are we?
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, hello. Thank you for hanging out with us on this Saturday morning or evening, wherever you are located.
Wherever you may be. Where are you? Can you give us any idea? Any insight?
Yeah. Sure. I'm always traveling. I'm Eastern time zone right now, which gives you a good idea. So it's morning. It's afternoon now. Started morning, now afternoon.
It's transitioning. It's literally because it's 11:50.
Yeah.
Like,
are you also in Queens right now? Are you down the block from us? Come over, man.
No, I'm not. But I'm hoping to come to Mexico. So hopefully we'll see you then. We're just gathering a team. Our team is spread all over the globe, so it's a little bit challenging to coordinate everyone, but hopefully we'll at least have some of the HoudiniSwap squad representing.
Awesome. Would love to have you. I honestly do not know much about HoudiniSwap, man. Tell us all about it.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having us on. First of all, big fan of the pod and everything you and Sunita do for Monero and privacy generally. I've been listening to it for over a year now, at least. And just, it's very informative. What HoudiniSwap is I guess we're relatively new in the context of how long crypto's been around, but we're gaining a lot of traction. I'll get into what we are. We're an anonymous swap platform. So what our platform does is it enables you to break the link between sending and receiving wallets, because we believe privacy is security. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here. What makes us a little bit different than a mixer, we are not a mixer, is we are simply a conduit between exchanges. And I could get into the details of that later. But what that means and is most relevant for you is that we use Monero as a tunnel between exchanges. So there's no traceable connection between sending and receiving wallet because it has gone through Monero and come out to another exchange. We're onboarding hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of people into the Monero ecosystem, whether they like it or not, by using our platform. A lot of the people on our platform, we get feedback it's their first time they've ever had any experience with Monero. We're educating people about privacy, security, and everything in between. So very excited to be here and excited to finally meet you.
Wait. I just want to make sure I completely understand it. So it's like if I have Ethereum and I want it would be that I'm swapping it because I'm trying to obtain Monero, or I'm trying to obtain something else and I'm going through Monero before I get to my final destination?
It's both. So it's very versatile. What are behind the scenes, what's going on in our platform is we have a number of different exchanges we work with, all of the top non-KYC exchanges, along with some other price providers. We have them all connected together. So you can, if you're able to pull up our website, that would be awesome. It would make it very clear. But basically, you could choose your token A, which is the token you're sending in, and then token B, which is the token you're receiving. And so if you want to do Bitcoin to Monero or Monero to Bitcoin, we optimize to find the best route for that. But on top of that, if you want to do ETH to Bitcoin, then it would go ETH to Monero, Monero to Bitcoin, and you'd receive your Bitcoin.
So effectively, what am I getting out of this? Different than if I were to use like a change now or a side shift?
For sure. So change now and side shift are they are not privacy focused swaps. Like you are able to trace the connection between one to the other, right? Like if you're swapping on change now, if you're going ETH to BNB, for example, you could just very easily see the BNB come out of the change now wallet and vice versa, right? And there's no opportunity to do ETH to ETH, for example, because it would just be in one wallet, out the same wallet. There's really no way to break the link between sending and receiving wallet when you're using one platform. By using our platform, you can safely know that nobody is able to trace your wallet from where it came from to where it's going. Because again, and I'm preaching to the choir, but privacy is security, and that's what we're all about.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So, but in terms of like going from, let's say, Bitcoin into Monero or any other crypto, so using those exchanges for purposes of obtaining Monero, is it effectively the same, or is there still a difference there? Like if I had Bitcoin and I wanted to swap it into Monero, why use this versus, you know, a change now for those purposes? Is it effectively
for sure? Great question. It is the same mechanically. What we offer, that's and why we're getting users who are just users of one of those platforms, is we're an aggregator of price. So we optimize for our users the best route based on different fluctuations in pricing, because the spreads can, even though the fees might be fixed, as you know, if you're swapping a lot, the spreads can change from platform to platform. So because we have so many onboarded, it aggregates and optimizes for the best price.
Awesome. What kind of how long you guys been around?
We've been around. The platform first went into beta about 7 months ago. That was live beta.
We're kind of losing you.
Oh no.
A little bit.
And we came out maybe quite a bit of traction.
Can you hear us? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're kind of breaking up.
I can, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, can you repeat that? Because you were kind of breaking up.
Sure. We went into live beta about 7 months ago or so, and we came out of live beta maybe four months ago or so, and we're picking up tons of traction. We're doing thousands of transactions a month now, and we actually publish all of our stats. It's in our latest tweet. We did just over somewhere around 2.4 million in transaction volume just last month. So it's gaining popularity.
Beautiful, man. Nice. It's all, and every transaction uses Monero in some fashion.
Well, that's exactly it. It's for a lot of people, it's their first foray into privacy tokens. We are trying to be more active in the privacy community, obviously, because that's a really important community for us, and we're trying to get more involved. But we're also very involved in the DeFi space with people who might not have even considered why a privacy token is so important, and so I think we'll have an important role in onboarding the next X thousand of users of Monero in the future.
Awesome. Are there what other companies are doing something? Are you guys unique in the the way in which you're doing this, or are there other people out there doing similar things?
Yeah, as far as we know, we are the first ones of our kind to offer this service. We've received feedback that people have been doing this kind of process for anonymizing crypto manually for a very long time, but it's cumbersome, right? Like it is, if you've ever gone through this, for people who are privacy maximalists or people who really deeply care about their privacy, they might have tried this manually, and there's many steps involved. It's very, unless you're very technical, it can be complicated going from multiple different wallets and using multiple different exchanges. So we were the first ones to create the conduit system, is what we call it, and there are no others that are like us.
Beautiful. Now, Cake has, their exchanges integrated into them, and I think they automatically choose the best exchange to use with regards to price. I guess it would make sense that at some time, like if you guys keep, like they might just integrate you into Cake, right?
For sure. It's something that we're working on very closely, is building out our developer toolkit, our SDK, so that we can integrate our platform into many different wallets and other DeFi protocols. Because we are, even though we do tunnel through Monero, we are token agnostic. So we can be in crypto casinos or various other crypto swaps or any other project we can pretty easily integrate onto our platform.
Beautiful. How about things for like automating checkout, like a way for people to effectively use Monero to purchase things, but they have, any other crypto on hand? Are you guys thinking about solutions for that?
For sure. It's been a hectic 7 months since we entered into beta. We're a nimble team, but a quite sophisticated team with a lot of experience in crypto and DeFi. But we are building out a number of different features that will benefit our users, and that is one that is on the roadmap to entertain. And what we would do is, we probably wouldn't build out our own checkout tech, but we would partner with other checkout techs and maybe be some sort of checkout price aggregator, because the fees can be a little bit restrictive for certain vendors, as I'm sure you've experienced with your coffee brand. And the fees really do add up.
Definitely. Yeah, man. So who is this team? Obviously, you don't have to give us your identity or anything, but like who's behind this? Are you guys like Monero guys? Have you worked on other crypto related projects?
Yeah, for sure. So we're a pretty large team now. We've got 6 people working on it full time. And then we've got a lot of other contractors and people working with us to build out certain features or different parts of it. The most recognizable aspect of our ecosystem, I would say, or of our team, is that we are sponsored by or incubated by Dream Labs. And Dream Labs is a pretty well-known ERC20 DeFi protocol where they incubate various projects and give them their stamp of approval and help with marketing and initial funding and all of those things that a really proper accelerator or incubator will do. And so that's enabled us to get that early traction and early beta users. And so that's Dream Labs on ETH. It's a DeFi protocol.
I don't really know much about Dream. Wait, can you tell us a little bit more about Dream Labs? Hey, man, did we lose
you?
Yeah. So yeah. No, we're good. We're here. Dream Labs has been around for probably a year and a half now, something like that. It was founded by a pretty well-known influencer in the DeFi space, not so much privacy focused, but just in the DeFi space. His name is Drew. He's one of those guys with like tens of thousands of followers, and he's worked on a number of different projects, etc. So what he did was he brought on all of the staff and people he's worked with in crypto and put them sort of under one umbrella where he was able to offer marketing services and Web3 development services and smart contract development and other, Web2 development, like anything that a project might need early on, they're able to draw from Dream Labs' resources if they are incubated under Dream. So we are the third project to be incubated under Dream. The other one is a payment processor platform called Pesa, which is processing payments in Africa. It's a way to send money back home to Africa without having to deal with the remittance fees that people face when sending home to their families. It can be extraordinarily high, and they're doing crazy. They're building a bank in Africa. Like they've raised a couple $1 million. Like they're a pretty serious project.
Yeah, they've been around for a while, right?
Yeah, Pesa Base it's called. And the other one is a gaming project called Hodl Hotel. They're looking to be sort of like the I forget the game that it's modeled after, but it's a very fun Web3 game, very interactive, that's coming out within the next few months, and then us.
Very cool, man. Very cool. Exciting. I love seeing developments like this in obviously in crypto in general, but in the Monero ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's just such an important, privacy is such an important aspect that you preach all day, every day, and many others in this community preach as well. But it's not always received by everyone for whatever reason, and we're trying to distill the messaging down to just really simply privacy is security. You don't walk around with a name tag of your net worth in real life, so why should crypto be any different, right? It's none of your business. It's people can be bullied for buying and selling because their wallets are so easily doxxed these days. And it can lead to real harm, right? Like our users have told us some horror stories of like people with very significant positions in a token. People have found out what their wallet was and then have done terrible things to, steal from them or kidnap or other horrors that come with just being so public, right? Financial systems were not meant to be as public as a public ledger, and that's the problem we're trying to solve.
So, I mean, what do you see the future being like? Do you think it's like, some things like HoudiniSwap are here to stay, and there's going to be, thousands of different cryptos, or do you think we start to consolidate around a few projects, something like Monero gets adopted widely and people are just using that, or is there always going to be a lot of swapping in and out and different use cases? How do you see the future of crypto?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it depends where you put a pin in future, quote unquote, right? If we're talking 20 years from now, it would be a very different story, right? Like I think in the very distant future, we'll call it, especially in terms of crypto-wise, very distant future, I do think that there would be consolidation around a global currency, and various brands will have their own tokens and people might swap in and out of them, but it'll look something very different than it is today. And Monero is an obvious solution if it can get around some of the regulatory challenges that it faces, just the roadblocks and negative stigma that sometimes surrounded it. But it is, to us, the obvious choice for privacy and ease of financial flow. But in the near term, like in the next 1 to 5 years, we see the activity in DeFi and we see all these different tokens firsthand. And I believe it's more realistic to welcome everyone in and think that there will be, people are getting onboarded onto crypto in so many different ways and so many different ends of the market, that to think that there will only be one token that people will be swapping to or using is just a too distant future for us. So said succinctly, I think there will be many different cryptos for a very long time, and so we're trying to offer solutions that are agnostic but enable the values of Monero.
Beautiful. What do you see as being kind of then the long-term vision of
we we believe that every transaction outside of Monero to Monero should be done through a platform like HoudiniSwap, whether it is HoudiniSwap itself or it's not, or it's, you know, someone else that comes and does it better than us, which we don't think will happen, but it can. Regardless, the idea of people sending money to each other and the person who receives the money can see your entire net worth, I think will be a laughable concept in the future. People will look back on it and be like, well, that was hilarious. I can't believe we operated like that in crypto. it's just so outrageous that when I go to send my friend money, like to pay him back $10, he now has access to my entire net worth and all my transaction history. It's crazy to think. And so I believe solutions like ours will be embedded into wallets, very easy to securely send money from one wallet to another. And there will be, you know, always an intermediary of sorts or a protocol or something, a smart something that will prevent people from snooping so easily to the recipient.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Do you see Monero as just being a tool for privacy, or do you see it, you know, also potentially being a store of value and things like that?
Both. I mean, just like I think Monero and Bitcoin have very similar utilities in every way. The challenge that Monero faces, as you preach about all the time, is just adoption and people integrating it and slashing down the negative stigma around privacy. And so Monero faces challenges, but it's shown to be so resilient that and honestly a better store of value as of late than Bitcoin. So yeah, I think Monero can be a tool for payments and for store of value, just like Bitcoin, but in a more secure way.
Couldn't agree more. It's just, you know, that's something you often hear from the BTC maxis, right? Like those that have conceded that are like, all right, Monero does something that Bitcoin doesn't do. They just kind of frame it as, well, it's just a tool for, you know, transacting or when you need privacy, but ultimately you should just store your wealth in Bitcoin. So we're just trying to see where you lie with regards to that.
Well, I would say, and sorry to interrupt, but I would say I would flip that on its head. That's our view. Is Monero is an excellent place to store your wealth because it's private, and then Bitcoin, because it's more widely adopted, is a great place to spend it if you need to.
Right, and then use something like HoudiniSwap to make those transactions.
Sure. Yeah. Or if you're holding your Bitcoin and you want to now use ETH because ETH is adopted somewhere else, then use HoudiniSwap to get it into ETH so that there is no traceable connection.
Yep. Awesome, man. Lou, I love it. Can't wait to meet you down in Mexico.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise. I think by the time May comes around, we'll be a completely different platform. The growth that we're seeing on the platform, like this message is really resonating to our users. The growth we're seeing is honestly astronomical, like 50% month over month growth in the number of swaps that are taking place on the platform. And by the time we get to May, we might be a very different platform by then. We have tons of features we're releasing in the near future, and we're very excited to see what comes of it.
What is kind of the most used pair? What are most people swapping to and from?
It would be, right now it's ETH. ETH to XMR and XMR to ETH are by far our largest pair. We are Dream Labs is an ETH token, and maybe that has something to do with it, but that's what we see. And then the second most would be USDT, which is Tether.
Have you kept your eye on Monero to ETH atomic swaps at all?
We have, very closely. We have actually someone on our team that we've kept, like they're ready to go, but we've kept them kind of like had their seatbelt still on. Who's a specialist in creating atomic swap dexes and has experience with other tokens, and we're looking into it very closely. It's still a little bit early for us to adopt it. There's there's a lot that we can do with HoudiniSwap at its current state. And until the technology is there for a seamless user experience and all of that, we just have to focus our resources on what we have in front of us. But it's something we look at very closely, and we're active in the various Monero development communities, keeping an eye on it, asking questions, and staying up to speed.
Cool, man. Yeah, Elizabeth will be down there.
Awesome.
Let's go as well.
Very cool.
All right, I think we'll move on because we got the news. If you can hang around and jump in the space once we're done with the news, you could have people jump up and ask you questions if you're down to hang around.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. I've got a trip coming up that I got to start packing for. So
Okay.
no worries. When that comes. But yeah, I'll stick around.
The news usually only takes about 5 to 2 hours. 5 minutes to 2 hours.
Usually.
Yeah, okay. All right. Sounds good. Okay.
We're gonna try to do it fast. See if you can hang around, and then we could
okay.
all hang out in the space. All right.
Okay, awesome.
All right,
Thank you.
All right, we'll be in touch.
Good luck.
Take care. Good luck.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye. And now for our weekly news segment. Aloha.
Hey guys.
How do you do?
Donnie.
Hey
Coming
guys.
back.
Got his robe on.
It's so weird not to see you.
There's a sweater.
I know. If I put the camera on, it's just going to be annoying. So let's just
He's hanging out with the Tape Brothers over there, and
Oh my god.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's right. We didn't talk about that last week. Well, because there was a lot going on. But
You know what's funny? People, whenever I mention that I'm from Romania, people don't ask me about Dracula anymore or Transylvania. They just say, "Oh, Andrew Tate," or "Oh, Top G," and I'm like, "Yep, Dracula wasn't that bad, wasn't it?" At least I knew some culture. Now it's over.
Now it's over.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I like, and I'm sharing my screen as I speak, so we can get through it. But obviously, some of the things that he says are interesting, such as his anti-government speeches. He talks about WEF and how you should be, disciplined and work hard. I like that part, but 99% of the things that he says, I really don't agree. Like, I think one time he said that reading books is for idiots and that he only has life experience.
Yeah, I think I read that too.
That was really stupid. Yeah.
He's just he's like another, he's a Trump character. He
just says what he thinks.
He's a charlatan.
Yeah.
He's, doing whatever it takes to gain more wealth. And I think he's just using this narrative for purposes of growing his brand. And I think also for purposes of keeping himself out of trouble, right? So you can ultimately argue, they were after me. I told you they were after me because I'm trying to free the world. Like, okay bro.
Yeah, he's not, extremely clean in his mannerism. Like he does a lot of bad stuff, such as what he's done right now. And
is he in jail now? I haven't been following it.
No, I think he got out of it. No,
okay.
Actually,
they got his cars, and he's in jail with his brother.
And he's essentially been accused of money laundering or tax evasion, or like what's like the
and then
more.
I mean, think like right children. I don't know.
Oh, trafficking.
Yeah,
right?
trafficking. Sex trafficking or children. I don't know. I don't know. Much about it. I didn't really read into it. But anyways, let's move on.
What I do know is that he didn't read these articles because he doesn't read. So
I don't really know
he's gonna watch
them, to be honest. Although, some of the things that obviously it's the little I've seen of him though, like some of it is just
a little too much.
I feel like it's a shame because he has all these young people that are following him, and like he has this army of young men, and he's just not instilling the most ideal ethics.
No. And if you're not intelligent, then one more point and that's it. But I even see people here, and whenever we see behavior like his, we just say, "Oh, he's a top G," and it's not necessarily a good thing,
Yep.
Yeah, people, they latch on to whatever they see. It's cool, but what's really cool, guys?
All right, so you can do the
Moving
news
on.
fast.
Yeah, let's do fast.
Let's go. Let's go.
Yep, moving fast. Oh wait, I think why did it go into? Oh no, wait 1 second. I don't know why it went to December, but I had January. 1 second. Let me go into coin cards over quick. All right, there we go. All right, so oh, that is for December. Okay, 33% for Bitcoin, 23% for Monero, but this is worldwide. And if we go down, Canada is sitting at 37% Bitcoin usage, 20% for Ethereum, and 12% for XMR. And the USA is 65% for Monero and 18% for Bitcoin. And I think this is the highest we've ever seen for Monero in terms of percentage. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so. Wow.
I think so, but it's really, really high. Then I really want to talk about this article. And if we can find someone that knows more information, that'll be really cool because it's interesting. And I'll have some more articles that it'll be cool if we had guests talk about them in more detail. But this one is titled "The Godfather of Crypto Wants to Create a New Privacy-Focused CBDC. Here's how." David Chaum explained his game plan to create a CBDC that would also be appreciated by the crypto ecosystem in an exclusive interview. When it comes to crypto, the crypto part of cryptocurrencies, David Chaum's work predates the crypto ecosystem. His efforts as a renowned cryptographer date back to 1989, long before Bitcoin. So he has developed a protocol that acts as the base of DG Cash, the world's first digital currency secured by cryptography. As the CEO of privacy-focused network developer Elixir, David Chaum is working with the Swiss Central Bank to develop a central bank digital currency that could also track the crypto ecosystem due to its privacy features. Named eCash 2.0, the new project aims to develop digital cash that would be inalienably private and quantum-resistant to counterfeiting, which that is important, especially in the future, not now, but quantum resistance in currency, and not only is going to be crucial, not sure when, but I suppose that it's coming. Since the technical details require a deep understanding of cryptography, maybe drink some water. There we go. Cointelegraph sat down with Chaum at Istanbul Blockchain Week to get a better understanding of the mechanics behind this crypto-friendly CBDC project. It's so cold outside, and then my face gets frozen, and it's so hard to talk because I just came from outside. Censorship-resistant CBDC. It all started when Thomas Moser, a board member at Swiss National Bank, invited David Chaum to Zurich for a conference and told him he wanted to make eCash great again. And then it talks about, as part of the project, which is internally called Project Tourbillon, Chaum developed a cryptographic protocol that proves the CBDC can protect privacy, be censorship and quantum resistant, scalable, and even compatible with DeFi blockchains. All in all, and there's more details about it, all in all, it sounds great, but let's see how it's going to turn out.
Man, would love to have him at Monerotopia, right?
Yeah, that'll be cool. Like, it's really interesting with Swiss National Bank.
Oh, of course, he's like one of the he's one of the fathers of crypto, right? He was doing crypto before Bitcoin existed.
Long before. Yeah. So it'd be cool to have him.
He's cited, right? David Chaum is cited in the Satoshi white paper, I think, right?
I think so. If not, B Money by who was it? Was it David? No, I think it was another guy that developed
B Money. I forget the guy's name.
Yeah. So that's cool. I hope that we can have him in Mexico. That'll be really cool. And now let's talk about Bitejo. I think it's called Bitejo.com. It's a market. It's a Craigslist for crypto, essentially, and you can shop with Bitcoin, Monero, gold, and cash. So, and you can buy all sorts of stuff. You can buy ring. It's like Craigslist.
Oh,
really. Anything you want. Not anything, but well, you can get hot sauce. You can get hot sauce.
A lot of things.
Look, you get a lot of things, not everything, but you can get Delgado's Fuego hot sauce, Misty Uchu, $21 or
Delicioso.
Delicioso. Or you can
Oh,
where's the Monero? Where's the Monero drop down? I don't know, but they accept Monero for other things, I suppose.
Not for the hot sauce.
Don't buy hot sauce, guys. You'll be fine. John Foss posted a tweet. I want to mention this. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you guys should check it out. Essentially, it talks about, it's a short thread that focuses on various metrics, bringing to light the possibilities of where Monero may be headed in 2023 and beyond. As Bawdy said, John Foss had tweeted in the past, they are really, really bullish on Monero, and Monero has been the best performing cryptocurrency when compared to other major crypto assets. So Monero is down only 23%, while most others are down over 60%. So very bullish news for Monero in 2023, and I'm curious of where it's headed. Also, let's talk about atomic swaps on mainnet, which is really awesome. We have released the first beta version of the Unstoppable GUI. It allows decentralized exchange of mainnet Bitcoin to mainnet Monero using atomic swaps through a graphical interface. And you can visit the download page over here, and you can visit the GUI on this link. Sorry for the people on Twitter Spaces. You can join on YouTube if you want to see the visuals, or all the links are provided for you if you want to check it out later. But here's the GitHub if you want to look into it. And then here is the Atomic Swap website, unstoppableswap.net. And it's still in beta, but use it, try it. Why not use a bit of Monero and see how it goes? Or Bitcoin too, Monero rather. But again, just having, Bitejo, and then we covered more markets in the past, and this just makes Monero more resilient for what's coming, or for what may not be coming. Why not have all these ways to protect Monero and make it better against everything? I want to cover then MasterCard, and we've seen MasterCard in the past. I think they partner with chain analysis in the past. I'm pretty sure I've seen a couple of pictures on the internet, but this time they partnered with Polygon to launch a Web3 musician accelerator program to help musicians in the scene and to educate them. They're going to release even an NFT collection called the MasterCard Music Pass for those that aren't selected for the program. And the aim is to provide hodlers with educational materials and unique resources through brand collaborations to help budding musicians learn about Web3 integrations with the music sector. And then it also says MasterCard has been actively furthering its involvement in the blockchain and crypto sectors. They joined forces with Coinbase in January 2022 to enable the use of MasterCard cards for purchasing NFTs. They partnered with Paxos to allow banks to offer cryptocurrency trading. They also launched a crypto fraud protection tool. So MasterCard is really going heavy into crypto and NFTs. Then, of course, we get these articles, and I think I might as well just talk about, slide this one over here. There we go. Again, people use the FTX collapse and all the bad things that have been happening in crypto to further, how should I say? Actually, I lost my train of thought. I'll just read the title, and maybe it's going to come back. But the FTX collapse may boost further trust in crypto ecosystem. And if we scroll down, oh yeah, there we go. Because of regulations, right? So the FTX collapse, that's what I was going to say. So the FTX collapse and all the collapses that we've seen in the past with Luna, it's essentially going to help crypto in some sense, but in regulation-wise, it's going to bring more regulation. And then it talks about, let me see where it was. Yeah, more traditional players are entering the space who can help to regulate the sector. This means players who understand regulations as well as the importance of clients, aggregation, stability, and execution. Explain Mohidin, a longtime participant in the venture sector and former director at Barclays and partner at the hedge fund Brevin Howard. And even though the winds of crypto winter may be still blowing, but it doesn't seem to be stopping venture capital firms from piling into cryptocurrencies. And of course, to further down regulations, and I don't think this one talked about MiCA. I think it was the other article. So let's go into this one. There we go. The ECB, the European Central Bank official, urges CBDC development for the good of cryptocurrency and consumers. So they're pushing regulations. They're pushing CBDC to save us from cryptocurrency because, of course, they really care about it. But then they tax us on it because, of course, they like the money that comes from it and the profit, right? But ECB board member Fabio Panetta has woven his enthusiasm for blockchain technology and skepticism of cryptocurrency into an argument that supports both. And then let's see where it was. Last year marked the unraveling of the crypto market as investors moved from the fear of missing out, I like this quote, to the fear of not getting out, he said. That observation served as a seg to an examination of the position that cryptocurrency should be left alone to burn rather than regulate at the risk of legitimizing cryptos. But this is a straw man that is immediately taken down. First, despite their fundamental flaws, it is not certain that crypto assets will ultimately self-combust. Then it talks about, there we go, MiCA, yeah. Having established the necessity of regulation, Panetta suggested that the European Union's markets in crypto assets MiCA legislation was an important step, but insufficient in regards to crypto asset lending or non-custodial wallet services. In addition, unbacked cryptos should be taxed in accordance with the costs they impose on society. Then it also talks about, and there's one more quote actually, trading in unbacked digital assets should be treated by regulators like gambling. But ultimately, even CBDC is backed by electricity because it's not physical. It's not like gold. It doesn't matter if we have electricity or not. Gold is not going to go away. So CBDC and crypto are kind of the same in this regard because online is on the internet. So, you know, they're both backed by the internet. They're not backed by anything else. I'm sure that if you trade gold for CBDC, they're not going to like it. So it's an interesting statement. Then I want to talk about El Salvador and actually no, let's go to this one first right here. There we go, because this one is a bit faster. Shiba Inu themed Bong tokens are yielding nearly 1,000 for Solana liquidity providers. The meme coin is up over 150% in the past 24 hours and have recorded some of the highest trading volumes on Solana-based decentralized exchanges. Yeah, so maybe in 2023 we should get off yielding and we should look into Monero, I think, and stack some more and be more careful with the yields because they do look very promising. And yeah, people made money in Bonk and Shiba, but be careful. Don't put more than you afford to lose. And
hell is Bonk, man? I don't even know.
Bonk. There's
keep moving, man. Let's get through this and we'll jump into the spaces.
Yep. Then let's talk about, and then I'll go back to El Salvador, and then that's it. So Bank of England answers professionals' questions about upcoming CBDC wallet. Of course, England wants a CBDC. They want a wallet proof of concept, POC, for the Bank of England, BOE. And they essentially provided questions about the project, and they have released the questions that they asked in this project. They asked like 20 companies, I think, no, maybe more. But 20 companies submitted their applications and handed in their questions before December 25th. Following this, the BOE published the questions asked by the competing providers and gave its answers that aimed to offer insights into the project. We're using the POC, which is the proof of concept wallet, to deepen our knowledge and understanding of how CBDC products could possibly interact with each other. And if you want to check it out, if you want to check out the questions, you can click on publish, and then you can read all the questions if you go down. And you can look into it. The last thing that I want to mention is El Salvador's Bitcoin strategy involved with the bear market in 2022. El Salvador made Bitcoin a legal tender, which some people see it as a positive thing. Some people see it as a negative thing. I think it's a positive thing overall, because it made people more aware of Bitcoin. But of course, they had problems with the IMF, and let me see where that was exactly. There we go. El Salvador's credit rating and ties with the IMF have suffered as a result of Bitcoin adoption. Local borrowers have been forced to charge higher interest rates as investors have become less willing to lend to the nation. Moreover, due to the significant risks to financial and market integrity, financial stability, and consumer protection, the IMF advised El Salvador to revoke Bitcoin's legal lender status due to its volatility, as well as its usage in fraud and other criminal activities. Also, they're a poor country with one of the lowest rates of internet use in the Americas. And as far as I know, actually a lot of people still don't know about Bitcoin, even though it's a legal tender now. So I'm really curious to see where this Bitcoin law that they passed is going to be headed in 2023, and what they're going to do with the bonds and everything that they have created. So yeah, we'll have to see in 2023. Now it's January, but this was a new section, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. The links are in the description. And yeah, we'll see you next week.
All right, man.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you,
All
guys.
right. Enjoy the rest of your evening. All right.
Romania. All right. Yeah, but we're going to jump into space. I don't know if anybody has. I see Houdini actually hung around. Wow. You made it through the news. HoudiniSwap is in there. We'll jump in there and see if anybody has any questions to ask. All right, cool. We'll make him co-host.
Oakley dokily. Yeah, let's move on to, I guess, the spaces aspect.
Let's do it.
Let's just do this. Okay. Just gotta share our screen here so that people that are listening on StreamYard will be able to listen to everyone in the spaces. Let me jump on now. I should add some tunes. You ready? Yeah. Yeah, just went on. Okay. All right. So gonna be jumping in on now.
All right.
Yeah, just went on. Okay. All right. So gonna be jumping in on now.
All right. HoudiniSwap, what's up, man?
Yeah, just went on. Okay. All right.
How's it going?
Gonna be jumping in on now.
All right. HoudiniSwap, what's up, man?
Yeah, just went on.
Hello.
All right.
How's it going? Nice to chat
Gonna
again.
be jumping in on now.
All right, sorry about that. Houdini, what's going on, man?
Hello. Long time no speak.
Yeah, anybody want to jump up? Anybody have a question? Anybody? Just request. We'll bring you on up. Houdini, anything else you want to bring up?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots that I could talk about, I guess, but I am curious to hear from you. I mean, the two of you are so deeply involved in the privacy community. It's exciting to be on the same line as you. What would you say is the most exciting thing in the most exciting project or the most exciting technology you're looking forward to in 2023? Is that allowed? Can I flip it and ask you questions?
Sure, man. You're Houdini. You just pulled a Houdini on me. In terms of this year, obviously, so I'm Monero focused, right? So I mean, what I'm most excited about is the fact that Monero is, I think finally gaining some mainstream crypto attention. So the fact that people are starting to realize why quote unquote privacy coins are important. So I'd say that more than any of the technologies themselves. It's just the fact that we're starting to gain mainstream crypto adoption, and that people are starting to realize the true value proposition of crypto and starting to see that happening. That's what excites me most, is more so the social aspects. I mean, the technology, Monero's been around for quite some time, hasn't really changed all that much, right? It's digital cash, and it's slowly evolving and improving upon that. But for me, what really excites me the most is that people are finally realizing the importance of digital cash. In terms of actual tech aspects, I mean, we saw an upgrade this year in Monero. What we should expect to see this year, I don't think, not too much in terms of major developments that will be implemented this year. Sarai Dex is exciting. I want to see that get implemented. I don't know if are you familiar with that at all, that project?
Yeah, I am. We're following it closely.
So that's really exciting. Obviously, anything in the atomic swaps realm between Monero and other cryptos, very exciting. I mean, that's a slow development, as you know, to make those things user friendly, and I don't know ultimately how user friendly they'll become. But yeah, something like Sarai Dex seems to strike the right balance between usability and decentralization as proposed. So I'm very excited about that, as that becoming a big usable on-ramp for Monero. But yes.
Awesome. What do you think is the biggest barrier to mainstream adoption or recognition or appreciation of Monero or other quote unquote privacy tokens? Like, what is the biggest hurdle that we have to cross, do you think?
I think it's just this apathy, or this inability for people to truly understand the importance of cash itself, digital cash. So trying to change people's perspective and get them to realize why it's important. So everybody in their daily lives doesn't question, privacy is innate, right? This need for privacy. When you get up in the morning, you go to the bathroom, you close the bathroom door. Nobody, everybody does it, right? They innately want privacy. They don't want people, knowing their business. They don't want people knowing what they're thinking. People, at the end of the day, they go home in their homes and they lock the door. People like privacy on a personal level, but for some reason that's been twisted in the marketplace in terms of how we perceive money and transactions. I think, up until this point in time, it's always been very innate in people to want privacy in that sector as well. But with things like social media and people becoming more exposed online, they've kind of given up all forms of personal privacy that traditionally they wouldn't have otherwise done, and that's kind of seeped into the area of transacting as well, where it's become commonplace to use something like a Venmo and literally broadcast what you're doing with your money, right? And so I think we need to see a cultural shift there. And I think inevitably we will, because there's so much value there in maintaining that privacy. And because people are going to need to do that if they want to maintain their liberty in the digital age. And I think, unfortunately, that realization won't happen until it really hits home with a lot of people. So the greatest barrier is in people just being able to abstractly think and realize and understand now why that's important, as opposed to when it's perhaps too late, or it's so much in their face that they have no choice but to transition.
Yeah, 100%. Well said. I find the analogy that works really well for our audience is around the name tag of your net worth. Like when I used to, at one point in my career, I worked in banking, and I used to walk around in the financial district and see people who had fancy suits or whatever, and I used to imagine in my head, I don't know why, when I was a recent grad, whatever, but I used to imagine, you know, I wish I knew how much that person made, or like what their net worth is. And then when I came into the crypto spheres, I was like, wow, I can see what every single influencer's net worth is, because it's, people think that just because your wallet address is a bunch of digits, that it's not tied to who you are. But everyone leaves Droplet. Like every single person who's active in a community will say, you know, buying now, or just sold some, or like, you know, if they're a top holder, people know who all the top holders are, and you can just so easily trace back to what your net worth is. It's a huge security concern. I agree. I echo all of that, and we firmly believe that the biggest barrier is just educating people that privacy isn't just about liberty, which is so important, but it's a very abstract concept that's hard for some people who aren't well versed or don't think about it on a day-to-day basis to really grasp. But the fact that it is security is something that hits close to home to a lot of people, we think. And so yeah, well said. I totally agree. But we are in a Monero talk, speaking among privacy people, so it's pretty easy to find common ground.
Yeah, definitely, and I agree with you. I think, you know, the liberty thing is like really high level, right? Like you have to think abstractly about it, and I don't think people in their day to day, you know, take the time to think about those things. The same reason why they weren't up in arms when the government was basically telling them that they need to take a vaccine, right, or they might lose their job, right? You know, a lot of us were like up in arms about, like, how could they, you know, this is tyranny, and a lot of people are like, yeah, whatever, you know, whatever. So, you know, liberty doesn't really, when I ran for Congress in you know, over here in New York, and people say like, why are you running, and I'd go into this tirade on, you know, why liberty, right, and how I feel like tyranny is encroaching upon us. I would, like, 9 out of 10 people, their eyes would just roll, you know. Once in a while I'd get the guy who would understand me, and he'd be like, hell yeah. But most people, like, it just, unfortunately, it's really sad it doesn't hit home, which is what makes it so dangerous these times that we live in, is because people, like, are easily fooled, right? And it's not that people are dumb, it's like people are busy and they're trying to live their lives, and they've kind of been hoodwinked into this system. And you know, they have, you know, they're worried about their families, they're worried about their, you know, and they don't have time to kind of like see the big picture and the trajectory of things. They just want to live their lives, so to just like start telling them about, oh, we need to preserve liberty in the digital age, like, what? So am I going to make more if I buy Monero today? Will it be worth more tomorrow? That's really all I care about, you know. And that, to just like explain why there's value in liberty, it's a stretch. But like you said, there's obvious things like security, right? So things like the trucker convoy, what we saw with that, like that was a big wake up call with people. Like that, people they understood, right? It was like very physical. They saw what happened. They saw these truckers out there. They saw this protest happen, and then they heard news of the fact that they were blocked from the traditional banking system, and that, like, people woke up. They're like, oh wow, that could happen. I didn't even know that could happen. And then they're like, and then, you know, crypto comes in, and they start using Bitcoin. But then they heard news of, wait, Bitcoin is completely traceable, and now they're blacklisting these people's wallets, so they effectively can't use the crypto they received. People's eyes open. They now saw like a real scenario in which it was an issue. So unfortunately, I just think there's going to have to be more of these real world issues that happen that effectively open people's eyes. But also, unfortunately, I'm certain that those things will happen.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. The one thing we did once on a space, and it was a little bit, we might have crossed the line, but it was a really good way of proving a point, proving this point specifically. Was we were doing an AMA on a Telegram channel, and someone who was listening in, we noticed, had their profile picture as an NFT, and we did it, like, we were very careful not to actually dox them, but what we did was live on the AMA, we spent less than 3 minutes, and within 3 minutes, we knew all of their crypto holdings, and we were like, just having your PFP as your profile picture and without ever using HoudiniSwap before, we were able to, in less than 5 minutes, figure out your entire net worth. We know that you are now a target of phishing scams, right? Like, you are now a target for so many different things because your wallet is just so easily identified to who you are. It's crazy. And then it gets even scarier. Like, I was saying this on our last in our last conversation. I was saying that some of our users have told us stories where people have done that kind of exercise, figured out who they were, befriended them, figured out where they lived, right? Like, oh, I'm in this place. Where are you? Oh, I'm here too. Figured out where they lived, and some real dangers like stalking, bullying, whatever it is, or kidnapping, or worse. And yeah, it's a real concern. And yeah, it's great that we're all making inroads, and we're happy to have joined the movement publicly to help, just piece by piece, step by step, pebble by pebble, brick by brick, just start to educate the world on the importance of privacy.
People will find their way there. Lip, what's going on?
Hey. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, yep. Go for it. You're breaking up a little bit, but go ahead.
All right, perfect. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about my start on crypto. I got back in like 2017. I found out about Bitcoin when it was about like around 10. Then I heard about Ethereum, so I got into that. And before I know it, Elon Musk started talking about it. So I'm like, okay, this got to be the time to sell. So then I found out how public Bitcoin was, where they could see your address. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So then I hopped on something called XRP. Then I found out that was the same thing. Y'all with me so far?
Yeah. So where are you currently? Like, what's your current take on crypto?
All right, so my current take is I took a little time to do some research. I kind of got out at a good time, and I started watching some of John McAfee's videos, and I got where he was coming from it about sometimes when people realize something, it's kind of like too late. But I look at it like this with Bitcoin. I feel like they want everybody to buy Bitcoin because it pumps crypto, the whole crypto market. And then I feel like when the big firms got everybody pumped in, then they start dropping it. So it's just, you just gotta, I guess, be due diligence with your research and try to be careful with your entries so you won't lose a lot of money, because it's kind of dangerous out here with that.
Totally agree, man. I mean, so what do you, based on what we were talking about, right? Like privacy and people realizing the importance of true digital cash. What's your take? I mean, do you think the market is going to start to realize these things more and more, or is it it's going to stagnate?
I feel like the market is going to realize it more, because I see banks are now becoming like able to like offer crypto. So what I see is everybody's waiting for Bitcoin to bottom out, and then everybody's going to get back into it. But with privacy, I'm really liking Monero, and I'm I did out some paving. You could secure your worth or whatever, if I'm saying it right, and then hop in when you want to.
Oh yeah, you're breaking up a little bit there. I think you were going to mention some other crypto, but it blocked you out. You can only say Monero in this room. No, I'm just kidding. Anybody else want to ask a question?
Hey,
Lip, you got anything else to say, man? Any other?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Any other comments? Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit though, but go ahead.
Let me try to turn my Wi-Fi on. Maybe use that. Can you hear me any better?
Yeah, you're good enough. Sebastian, let me get you up here. Sebastian, what's going on, man?
Hey guys, Thanks for letting me speak.
Of course.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is that, like, for people who are supporting public blockchain technology such as Bitcoin, I always emphasize to them that they have to be honest about the fungibility problem, but I also want to apply that to Monero in other ways, such as, let's say there is one day there's an explosion of new users, and it's gonna happen in the near future, just like it happened, I think, in the private messaging apps space. I think it was WhatsApp updating its privacy policy that caused millions and millions of people to switch to Signal, and Signal couldn't handle that new inflow of new users, and they had a lot of trouble in the beginning. So one day this is going to happen to currency, and we're going to see a huge inflow of new users to Monero. And I wonder what's going to happen to the people that run their own nodes. Maybe they can't afford to upgrade the SSD or hard drives. And maybe some people will not want to spend more money to upgrade their nodes. Then it could cause a lot of problems with decentralization of Monero. So I wonder what you guys' opinions are on this possible future problem.
Yeah, maybe we could get Bawdy chime in on this. You know, I don't have enough technical ability to really estimate to what degree we could handle an influx of new users. I guess my take would just be that I do think things will continue to trend in organic enough nature where Monero will be able to scale as its usage grows. That's just kind of my understanding based on what I've seen and my understanding of the tech, right? Obviously with things like dynamic block size, and I hear what you're saying, that nodes will get too large, and not everybody might be able to run them. But I don't think the influx will be, kind of a tidal wave all at once to the point where the network wouldn't be able to respond. I just don't think it's going to happen that way. I think maybe you'll see price go up a lot, and there'll be a lot of speculation. So we'll see a lot of growth with speculation as people start to see Monero. But I don't think everybody's going to be flowing into it for purposes of transacting. You'll have people like us, right? And if you've seen that organic growth to date, where people are just onboarding to Monero because they actually want to use Monero. But then additionally, there's going to be a large influx that's just going to be based on speculation. And I don't think that's going to really overwhelm the network that much, because it won't be so much for usage. It'll be just for, people that are trying to accumulate. But that's kind of my simplistic take. Bawdy, what do you think, man? You think, Monero has the tech to handle a major kind of overnight influx? Wait, got to add him. Bawdy, I just added you. Go ahead, man. Bawdy.
Hey, sorry about that. My headphones just cut out for a second. So yeah, I mean, this is definitely an important question. It's something that Arctic Mine is the best versed on it out of everyone in Monero. So if we did have a huge influx of people, we could maybe do 10x, 100x our current transaction counts, and we would still be reasonably okay. We could maintain decentralization. You're going to have a lot more people that need to run pruned nodes. Hypothetically, you could run Monero entirely as a network of pruned nodes. Hang on one second. Okay, sorry about that. You could run the entire network as pruned nodes, and you would still be able to synchronize a full node. So there is a decent amount of overhead. But right now, it is true that Monero would not be able to handle Visa level transactions without some kind of significant centralization of the node structure. This is one of those things where hopefully, as time goes by, as the continuous improvements happen with both CPU and bandwidth, especially bandwidth, Hopefully that ends up buying us enough transaction capacity to compete with Visa in something like 20 years. So yeah, it's not a finished solution, right? We still have a number of things to do. Doug, your comments about how it's possible that we'll get a lot of influx if price starts increasing, that'll happen as speculation. My thinking on that is that they'll come for the speculation and then they'll stay because they start doing the mental exercise of, well, wait, I'm already in Monero. Why would I send Bitcoin? Why would I send Litecoin? Why would I send a transparency coin that's going to pwn my privacy when I have Monero already? Well, okay, well, I'll spend it here. I'll spend it there. And as people come for the speculation, they're going to start staying because they're going to realize, well, I might as well just spend it too. And that's kind of how like my journey from Bitcoin to Monero transitioned was. I was like, okay, Bitcoin, I was almost a maximalist. Monero was cool. I got some. And then as I did these mental exercises of, okay, well, I want to do this thing, but it needs to be private. So, okay, I need to manage my UTXO set and I need to do it over Tor. And, oh, well, these outputs are associated with me. So I need to go through Monero and come back. And every time I did this, I was like, why? Why am I doing this? I could just use Monero. And ultimately, that's why I was like, all right, I'm out of Bitcoin. I'm just going to be in Monero now, and I'll find other coins to speculate on, for the price gains. And Bitcoin doesn't even do good at that anymore. Anyways, you're not going to see Bitcoin doing the best speculative price gains from here on out, or it's unlikely. There will be moments where it does, but by and large, it's probably going to be Ethereum. It'll be the newest, shiniest shitcoin. It'll be some of the new shitcoins from the last bull market that did really well. Those same shitcoins are going to have another run. The shitcoins that we had from 2017, those are probably done, right? If they had a run in 2017 and they had a run this time, they're probably not going to have a third run. Yeah, that's kind of my thinking on whether or not we can handle an influx of people. We should be able to handle a pretty significant influx. We can easily do the level of transactions that Bitcoin is doing. But then maybe we'll need to hope for further developments in later years.
Right. So that would be like, the level of transactions that Bitcoin is doing would be like another, basically a 10x from here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if we're saying, we could handle that, then I think that covers us pretty well in terms of what our expected growth can be. But who knows?
At least for the next few years,
it would be a good problem to have. That's for sure.
Y'all were talking about, just generally privacy. If you think about before the internet, it's literally a federal crime to go open someone's mailbox, look at their mail, tamper with their mail, and take their privacy away from them. It's a federal crime, and it's been very illegal. People have been prosecuted heavily for that. And now, like these big corporations, Google and everyone, Microsoft, they see everybody's email. It's totally transparent for them. They don't have to get a warrant, nothing. So it's kind of funny how that transition happened over the years.
Yeah, they use it to mine your data to understand better what kind of ads are going to work on you. Yeah, Google, Microsoft. Yeah.
You know what I do on YouTube questions now? I answer them randomly. They give me instead of being the guy that's their data point that says did not answer, because that's still data for them, I just select something random. Screw up their algorithm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the corporations and governments have an incentive to know as much about people as they can, right? There's a lot of value there. And traditionally, we had protections in the Constitution, right? Things like the Fourth Amendment, in terms of protecting us from government searches and seizures. It's just not all of that's now transitioned over into the internet. It's just the development of tech is kind of ahead of everything else. And, it became these tools that people find very useful and usable, and they are. And it's caters to people's needs in such a way that they don't realizing what they're paying, what they're using to pay for it. All these quote unquote free tools that improve their lives come with a very real cost. It's just not an obvious one. And because of that, they've kind of been hoodwinked into giving up their privacy and their data.
Yeah, it's been a big problem with the internet because they figured out how to do the networking part of it before they had figured out how to do the privacy part of it. So they built all of this infrastructure, and then we had to try and figure out how to do privacy in layers deeper, but that's really, that's really not the best form of privacy. Tor is good. It's better to use Tor than not to use Tor, but it has all kinds of problems. And the way just the entire infrastructure of the internet makes it very difficult to not be tracked. You have to take all these extra steps. And even then, you could still get compromised. And I see so many parallels between the internet and its development and what's happened in cryptocurrency. Now, hopefully, because we already had those lessons, and hopefully Monero is close enough to the inception of Bitcoin that maybe we can head some of this off. Maybe we can actually get people, and I think we can. I think it's very likely that over time, people are going to go into Monero. We're going to get the layer 0 privacy figured out, and then we can figure out how to do a Lightning Network on top of that or something. But yeah, I mean, if we get this thing right, then we'll actually be able to preserve the money and make it true money. It won't be a surveillance money tool for the for the deep state.
Totally, man. I see Tivra's in the room. He's been in the room for most of the show. He had a great space the other day just about privacy coins in general, privacy tech, and whether or not 2023 is the year of privacy coins. Tivra, you wanna jump up, say anything? Just giving us a high five and a love. All right, guys. Anybody else want to throw in any comments? Otherwise, we'll wrap it up. Just request to speak if you want to chat. Anyone?
Bueller.
Oh wait, here we have somebody. Hey, man. Yeah, I could hear
sorry,
you.
it might drop,
What's
like it was been dropping off the whole time I was trying to connect. So if it drops, it's not me. Sorry, guys. So my question was for.
Hello.
He dropped off. Whatever question you asked, at least I didn't hear it. Maybe it was me.
I don't know what's
I think he disconnected.
He keeps getting like booted. Let's try again, man. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, what's up, guys? I love the new framing of 2023, the year of Monero, or 2023, the year of privacy coins. I think it's a good marketing strategy. Almost like, is 2023 the year of desktop? We can do that every year until Monero is number one.
Why not? Let's get it out there. Let's get the meme out there. It's crazy, right? That, the mainstream, like the crypto YouTubers, like the people that talk about all these random coins, they just still aren't really talking about Monero yet. Despite the fact that it's 100x during this bear market. Like, how are they still not talking about Monero?
It's almost unbelievable to me. There's all of these influencers, and Monero is such a unique thing. And these people, all they do is live crypto, right? They make content and they read news stories, and like their job kind of is to help their followers orient themselves around the space to understand what's happening. And these guys still haven't found Monero. It's either ignorant as fuck, or nefarious, right? They've maybe not nefarious, but perhaps just greedy. Their sponsors, I don't know. Who knows, right?
Yeah. Could it be how they're finding their information? Like they're just kind of in these silos of like mainstream crypto media, and they just never find their way to Monero. I definitely think there's some manipulation happening there, right? Like we talk about Barry Silbert and all the influence he has on crypto. I think he's also in control of like a lot of the mainstream, quote unquote, mainstream media of crypto. So I think there's things going on there. But yeah, is it just maybe that they're just not finding their way to the info because of the silo that they're in?
I don't think it's that nefarious. I just think there's not enough media in Monero. I mean, you should know you are one of the few shows out there, right? In comparison to Bitcoin, it's like 100 to 1. I mean, in articles, in shows, in media, in education, in a lot of stuff, right? So maybe it's just a lack of overall content will be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, we've been around for years, you know, we've interviewed a lot of big names in the space. And yeah, I don't know. A lot of people just don't find it, don't come across the content unless they're like actively searching for it. It feels like. Tivro, what's up?
There's also.
Go ahead, Bawdy.
Oh, hello, Douglas. It's an excellent show. Thank you for making it, and thank you for creating media about privacy. I just wanted to say that you mentioned that influencers don't talk so much about Monero, which is surprising. And I think it's probably still there is some, some taboo around privacy, which we really need to work to remove that taboo. You know, people associate it with stuff that they think it's a little bit shady. They're worried their name will be associated with stuff that is shady or whatever. And we just need to really convey this idea that privacy should be totally, basically we need to totally normalize it so that everything else will become the strange position and privacy will be the default position of everyone.
For sure, man.
Sure.
Great space the other day. I wasn't able to join, but I listened to the recording. It's good stuff.
Thank you so much.
What's your? I mean, have you always been a Monero guy? I know you're talking about privacy now. You're out there. Has it always been something that you saw as being the main ideal of crypto? You just haven't been out on the forefront talking about it, or maybe you have. What's your background?
So my background is I found out about Monero on Bitcoin Talk. So I'm back, those days, 2013, 2014, when I became interested in crypto. Yes, like a very long time. I wasn't so active on Twitter, I was still using those outdated media like Bitcoin Talk for a long time. So basically, yeah, Bitcoin was one thing that interested me. Then there was Monero when it came out. Then briefly, I was interested in a project which I don't follow at all now. I don't know if people still follow it. It's called Counterparty. And then
I remember that one.
Oh, I remember. And then because the dev that was one of the devs that was early in Monero, namely Taco Time, he was in I think the first team that forked Monero, that later renamed from BitMonero. And the same dev also created another crypto which is called Decred, and I got also involved in that and interested in that. But that one is like, it didn't start as a privacy coin, it started as the easiest way to describe it, it's like that. It's
right, was their focus.
Exactly. The easiest way to describe it is like, when there was the Bitcoin big blocks, small blocks debate. So back then, a lot of people were asking, like, how do we decide which side should have the devs follow, right? So basically, Decred just did this, that people could vote with their coins basically on which hard fork to follow. That's it. And so that's one of the hard forks that was voted on was to implement privacy, right? But it's coin shuffle. It's like it's a little bit different. I mean, Monero has non-transparent blockchain. So if for the purists that want zero transparency in the blockchain, it's Monero. While Decred has a transparent blockchain, but it's basically mixing shuffling is part of it, and the anonymity set comes from because people buy tickets to stake. It's like a hybrid proof of work, proof of stake. So that creates the pool to mix, which is, the pool is huge. I mean, 60% coins are being mixed. So it's it's a trade-off. I guess the plus is that you get perfect auditability. Like, it's easy to verify all all coins and so on. And but so for a while I was commenting on Decred and so on. But since past year, looking at Monero, looking at how it's getting real non-speculative use, how it's adopted in the voluntary markets. Yeah, it got me really excited. So the space was really also to analyze like what's happening, right? Because like according to common traders' logic, this shouldn't be happening, right? Like altcoin should be falling while Bitcoin is falling, whereas Monero is just following its own path and grinding up, which makes me think there is a real non-speculative use case, which is really what digital cash should be about.
Yeah, super exciting, man. That Monero is finally grabbing people's attention again, and yeah, would hope to have you guys maybe down at Monerotopia, man. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, I'm talking to some people over there at Decred. We will see what they say. I mean, ideally someone who is more technically also knowledgeable than me should go, because I'm not that technical myself.
So is Decred working on like privacy solutions, or what is the current state of privacy on Decred?
The latest thing that maybe will be interesting to the people here is and by the way, I need to remind people that because whenever I talk about other coins other than Bitcoin or maybe Monero, I get a feeling like, oh no, because I know how allergic everyone is to altcoins, right? Because we're being shielded all the time, different coins. So, but I'm not against it. I'm not a. But I just think that because there is such a saturation, I think people get an immediate. It depends, because I'm talking to Bitcoiners a lot, and Bitcoiners are really allergic to talking about it. So I got used to almost having almost like excusing myself always when I talk about.
Yeah, they beat it out of you, man. They don't want people to expressing their ideas.
Exactly. So
they made you
have
feel
a feeling
ashamed.
of guilt. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but the one development that maybe would be interesting to Monero folks is the Bison relay, it's called. So it's like let's say it's similar to Nostr, so it's a decentralized social media protocol that is fully encrypted, and it's peer-to-peer, and uses Lightning Network for so it has built-in for tipping, for payments. And so right now it's like Nostr, right? So it's for private chat, for private rooms. It doesn't have something like spaces. It's more primitive for now. But what's coming also is sites and e-commerce function. So basically there will be markets there. So that could be interesting for Monero folks. Maybe it's called Bison Relay.
But it would just be a Dash-based marketplace. I mean, not Dash, Decred. I'm sorry, didn't mean to insult you that badly.
No. I mean, no. I mean, it's it doesn't actually have to do much with marketplace in the sense like darknet markets, in that sense. I mean, anything can. I don't want to use the word darknet because it's like sounds negative. I mean, like voluntary markets, anything that people want to sell or buy.
Decentralized market.
Exactly. Decentralized markets, and people could use Monero to buy, and it doesn't have to be Decred, because like one thing that I like about this project is we also have a decentralized exchange, right? It's atomic swap based, and you don't need to own Decred token at all. There are no fees, there's nothing. So you basically just trade, let's say, Bitcoin for I don't know what's supported, Litecoin or Bitcoin for what else is supported. I mean, stable coins are coming soon. But basically, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and a few others are supported right now. Not so many, but it's really, you know, peer-to-peer atomic swaps. And you don't need to hold Decred. You need to, you know, it has nothing to do with Decred. Decred just funded it. And so the same principle is operative here. But yeah, it uses Lightning Network basically to prevent spam, you know. So, because or DDoS attacks and so on, because every request costs a little bit of, but really very low amounts in paid in Lightning Network.
Yeah, so some similarities to kind of the roadmap that Particle is taking. We had them on the other day.
Oh, okay. I need to check that out. I just learned recently about another one. Let me check it. But that one runs on Bitcoin Lightning node, Lightning Network. Oh, it's called Damos. It's another one similar to the Bison Relay, but that one will run on Bitcoin Lightning. I need to check out Particle. Thank you. I didn't know about.
Yeah. I meant similar in terms of you know, the marketplace that they've built and stuff like that.
Are you referring to Tamanos?
Tamanos. I don't know what that is.
Okay, I was just making sure. I thought that's what he was talking about. But hey, Doug, and hey, Monerotopia. I just got my mic working, and I'm ready to talk. Are y'all ready for me?
I don't know. What do you got?
All right, I'm very positive on the movement. So I have good news for us on this part. If y'all noticed, we have a tail emission that just hit, I think, the end of last year. So what's happening now is the reason why the exchanges don't have no more Monero is because it's no more being made for a certain amount of time. I think Kevin Wad talked about it a lot too. He's a person that talks about Monero a lot. But so what I noticed too, this will get y'all real happy. If y'all notice, what's the bank? It's called the app is called Lamp Bank, but more of the story is, I don't want to say grayscale, but it's what is it? Give me 1 second, I can think of the name of it. It's a big bank, and they got give me 1 second. I'm about to look it up. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Yeah, Kevin Wad. Kevin Wad's a good guy. I haven't seen him around recently. Yeah,
I'm sad to hear that or notice that. But yeah. So the app is called Lampman Bank, and it's from here we go.
Hey, while you're looking that up,
yeah, go ahead.
I got to run, but this has been, guys. I've really enjoyed, guys and girls, everyone. I've really enjoyed being here and listening in. Thanks for having me. If you don't mind, I'll just very quickly do a very quick shill of HoudiniSwap, anonymous swap platform. Follow us at HoudiniSwap on Twitter, same on Telegram, and follow us for updates and I'm sure we'll see you around. See you either in Mexico or sooner.
Awesome, man. Yeah, thank you so much for jumping on today and doing the interview and hanging around. I know we do it's a long show. It's a marathon. In fact, I'm cooking breakfast as we speak now. I've moved on to the rest of my day. But yeah, would love to. I really hope to see you down in Mexico. And for anybody who's listening in, yeah, I put the link into Monerotopia.com. We have the Monero conference that's taking place down in Mexico City in May. Obviously, very much Monero focused, but we're also trying to get other projects as the privacy-oriented projects involved. For example, like we're talking to Tivra here, we're talking about the eCred. They might come down. There's a bunch of other projects that are coming down, and we want to make it more about privacy tech. That the quote unquote privacy community in crypto really isn't all that large, right? So to then take that what's already a small community and make that tribal as well, I think only ends up hurting ourselves. So we're trying to kind of unite people around the ideas of digital cash, no matter what form you're interested in. And then hopefully all roads lead to Monero. So thank you so much. I think actually we'll take. Oh, okay. Well, we'll let you finish up with the comment, and then we're going to close it out. Just
sure.
So go ahead.
All right. So yeah, I'll make it quick. So Goldman Sachs. You heard of Goldman Sachs, right?
Most certainly have, yes.
All right, so Goldman Sachs offers this banking for their high net individuals. Sad to say, of how it's biased, but so how they do it is when some of them want to make like purchases into crypto, they use Monero so they can have privacy. And then I was looking up, it's up there and on Wikipedia and Google if you want to look into it. Please look into it. So what I found out was they had to buy a certain amount of it to try to keep the price steady and to protect against arbitrage, if I'm not mistaken. So what I'm basically saying is high net individuals and the banks, Goldman Sachs, are definitely looking into crypto. Now, look at it this way. Why would any bank want everybody to see what's their holdings so they could get shorted and so they could lose capital? No. So what I'm saying is the big banks are into crypto right now. And what they're doing is they're waiting for, the right opportunity to make certain positions, and then they're going from there. So I feel like Monero is going to be one of the cryptos that's going to have the longest staying power. And this is when people are going to get into Monero. When Monero hits about like 16K, it could be a year, it could be 4 years. But when Monero hits the price of Bitcoin, that's when everybody's going to want to get into it. But we all know that's kind of like the worst price entry if you're going to hop into it at 16,000 when we have it right now about $100 price range. So that's just my take on it.
Lip, I love what you're saying, man. That sounds bullish as bullish can be.
And then I'll leave it on this. So the biggest fork that I like of Monero right now is Havana. And the reason why I'm looking at Havana so much like that, or I'm sorry, Haven. I wish Havana and Haven, and I think Cake is already doing it, we're all like integrate. So like what I mean by that is I would like Cake to make like an integration where you could connect your Cake wallet to different DEX and do it decentralized. Basically what I'm saying is when a lot of people want to get crypto, they got to hop on the exchange. And basically you're putting your money into one of their wallets. You don't know what they're basically doing with it. The future I see is atomic swaps. So like, let's say I have Monero right now and I want to trade my Monero for, what is it? I think Haven got a dollar version of there. So let's say I want to hop in that right now. And then let's just say a month later, Monero might go down to about like $110. That would be a perfect time to make an entry. So what I'm basically saying is us as a private community, we all got to stick together. And the biggest fork that I'm looking at, like I said, is Haven, because I feel like they might be a good bridge for Monero, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I love the idea of Haven in theory, and a stable coin, an anonymous stable coin. But we've seen issues with these algorithmic stable coins. We had Haven at Monerotopia last year in Miami. We'll see if they come down to Mexico this year. I hope they do. They are definitely an interesting fork of Monero. And yeah, I'm loving all your takes, man. Good stuff. I'm surprised we haven't seen you around here.
Yeah, I've been trying to take care of everything. Like I told you, I got into crypto around 2017. So I'll make it real brief. I bought Bitcoin for about like 19-ish. And then it went up to 50. And I was just surprised at how quick it happened. So I de-risked, bought some Ethereum. More of the story is I turned this 19 all the way up to like about 80 grand. And then I hopped into XRP. But the more of the story is, once I found out how public everything was, that's when I found Monero. And that's been the best bet, honestly, with damn anonymity. And then its emission rate. Because I compare Monero to gold, basically. So I look at Monero like it's a better form of gold at different times, meaning if gold is high right now and Monero is low, then Monero. When Monero is high and goes low, then gold. But yeah, so that's why I like Haven, because they can issue currency from different countries, and then that will bring different people from different sides of the world into crypto. Now imagine if they could convert their currency into a wallet and then trade Haven for Monero, and back and forth with never using the exchange, all doing it in a DEX and an atomic wallet. I think that's the real future for privacy coins. So if all the exchanges just went down all of a sudden, if we had atomic swaps connected to these wallets, it wouldn't really affect us.
100%, man. That is the vision. I know, Cake is constantly working towards that. We were supposed to have Thorchain integrating Monero and Haven into their decks, so effectively people will be able to use Thor to swap between Monero and the other Thorchain cryptos and Haven, and Haven was helping lead the charge with that, but that kind of stalled, and I think it completely stopped as far as I know. I don't know if anybody has any other insights into that. Basically, the Thorchain community didn't want to deal with privacy coins. They were concerned about the public perception, which is concerning, right? It's like all these things we're talking about here in this space today, how we need to make privacy the focus, but unfortunately, people are driven more by number go up, and they're making decisions where they think it's better to ignore privacy tech because it's going to help their public perception. I think in the long run, that's a really bad bet. But some people are taking that approach. But yeah, that's the vision you laid out there. 100% love what you're saying, and I think we will get there. That is the way, right? So we'll all have our Cake wallet, our Monero Uju wallet, whatever it may be, and then we're storing our coins there, using our coins there, and essentially anonymously swapping into and out of other cryptos in a decentralized way, in a user-friendly way, right in our wallet. Haveno, that's still being worked on. So I think the guys that were the guy who was originally heading up the project dropped out. There was concerns over the fluctuation in the price of Monero, and he was getting funded in Monero, and he basically said he couldn't afford it anymore, and not enough money was raised. But Cake stepped in, and they took over the development of that project. Vic took over the development of that initiative. Yeah, he's funding that, so we should, that's moving ahead as well. So there's just another decentralized exchange option. I'm seeing a crying face from Sebastian. I don't know. Did I say something wrong? Guys, I'm gonna wrap it up unless anybody has any last statements they want to say. Anything to correct the record? Anything you want to put out there? All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Hope to see some of you next week, some of you down in Mexico in May. Let's make 2023 the year of the Monero.
All right,
yeah, guys.
And it was nice speaking to you, Doug. Let's stay in touch.
Yeah, man. Hop on anytime. Tivra, thank you so much for jumping on today. Bawdy, as always, man. Thanks for bringing the information. And thank you to everybody that joined us today. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.